but I want to bring up Congresswoman Donna Edwards. And let's give her a round of applause before I say a few words. Prince George's County in Maryland is very fortunate to have a very, very strong congressional team. And we have in Donna Edwards one of those individuals who has gone to Capitol Hill and fought very strongly for Prince George's and sections of Anne Arundel County. Congresswoman Edwards is one of those people on the front line with the county executive and others who are working diligently to bring the FBI to Prince George's County. And I think there was a couple weeks, yeah, let's clap for that, because that's a big deal. And I won't say it the way that the Vice President said. It was a big deal. This is a big deal. But it's a big deal for the county, but that's not all she's involved in. There's things from domestic violence to jobs, you name it. Congresswoman Edwards is on the front line doing what's best for her constituents, doing what's best for Prince George's County, and representing with distinction. So I will ask her to please come up and say a few words, and let's give her a rousing round of applause.
Good evening. Well, thank you very much, Barry, for your introduction. Dr. DeForca, it's always great to be with you. And I want to say first, always say thank you to the constituents of the 4th Congressional District for their good graces in allowing me to represent the 4th Congressional District. But I want to give a special welcome to our international friends who are here visiting with us, some of whom participated in the summit activities over this last week, but particularly for all of you who are here this evening, here in Prince George's County, because we recognize the promise of the African continent at least 8 years ago. And part of the way that we recognize that is because of our wonderful community here that is represented in Prince George's County in all of its diversity and embraced in all of its diversity from virtually every nation on the African continent. And we are proud of our citizens. But from a leadership perspective, our county recognized that, and it is why we have an Africa Trade Office here in Prince George's County. That is not an accident, it was a choice. And it turns out that it was a fortuitous choice because some of the world's fastest growing economies are on the continent of Africa, presenting an enormous and tremendous business opportunity for all of us here in the county and for Maryland, but also presenting an amazing business opportunity for those who are on the continent who want to do business in the United States. And so it is a win-win. And the great thing is that we have leadership here in the county with County Executive Rashurin Baker that really has said that we are going to take advantage of this opportunity and this wonderful relationship. I had the great privilege of being able to be at the White House earlier this week for some of the sessions of the summit, on Capitol Hill for some of the sessions, but also at that wonderful dinner just a couple of nights ago, where the President hosted 51 heads of state from the African continent. It was extraordinary. In the 238-year history of the United States, there have never been that many heads of state gathered at one time in Washington, D.C. at the White House. And I have to tell you, moving around and meeting some of the tremendous leaders, but also their ministers and other aspects of civil society, it was invigorating. Now, I know some of the conversation during this last week, especially leading up to the summit, was about disease. But the reality is that the African continent, in its diversity, in its number of countries, is not a state, it is a continent. And the United States of America, from the highest level, had the opportunity to recognize that and to realize that and to see that played out for the American public. And I'm going to tell you something. It was indeed extraordinary. It was extraordinary to see the diversity, whether from Mali or Senegal or Zambia or any of the great nations of Eastern Africa gathered here in the United States and talking about the economy and about building economies and strengthening economies, and not about just the typical conversation of Africa as a state around disease and poverty. No, no, no. This was a summit that was about the 21st century and an African continent, all of its nations, fully engaged in the economy of the 21st century. And it gave me chills, just as it does right now, because it said so much, not just about who we are and about our leadership, because it took President Barack Obama to have these 51 leaders gathered at the White House, and that had not happened in any other administration. We should take note of that. But it also meant that we had an opportunity to see the challenges around energy and wind and solar power and the exploitation in a positive way of the resources, the great resources of Africa, used to the benefit of African nations. It gave us an opportunity to see what transformations there are, not just in the economy that contribute to the economy, in education, in housing, and all of the things that help grow great nations. And so I am excited to have been invited here this evening and to be with you, because I think that this linkage between so many African nations and Prince George's County is one that is going to pay off for all of us multifold. And I want to thank our county executive and all of our leadership for recognizing that, for investing in that, and for all of you being here today to invest in the future of Prince George's County and the future of the African continent. Thank you very much.
Give her another round of applause, please. So I'd like to call up the man who is the brainchild behind this event. Last year he had a vision to put this event together, and last year we were over at the Smith Center at the University of Maryland, where we kicked off the first version of this event, and he stuck with it. He stayed with it the entire time, even the first time as he was working to put this together. And I think I can say, Frank, that there were people who said, no, I don't know. I don't think it's going to work. I'm not sure. But Frank stuck with it, and he made it happen last year. And we're now witnessing the second year of this event. So I'm going to bring up the man who brought us here today, and the man who brought us together a year ago, Dr. Frank Forca, who is the man behind the African Trade Organization here in Prince George's County. And I'm going to bring him up to talk about the event, but let's give him a tremendous round of applause for putting this together. Dr. Frank Forca.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and I wanted to take a moment to excuse Ms. Gwen McCall. She is the President CEO of our Prince George's County Economic Development Corporation. She planned to be here, but at the last minute, she had another commitment, and she sends her apology. I want to recognize some dignitaries that are here, and with your permission, I want to recognize Congresswoman Donna Edward for her kind word to the Africa Trade Office. I want to recognize a representative from the office of Senator Barbara Markowski. If they're here, please, can you wave or stand up? I want to recognize Senator Jim Rosepi. If he's here, he should be on the way. I want to recognize Honorable Robert Joseph Mete, his Deputy Minister of Health from Ghana. Thank you. I want to recognize Honorable Daniel Yo Adje, former Ghanaian ambassador for Brazil and the United States. I want to recognize Delegate Minister, His Excellency Minister Lucadio Ndong from the Republic of Equatorial Guinea. I want to recognize the Director General Michael Obama, Director General of Local Government from the Republic of Guinea. I want to recognize Mayor Koloma Bengomo, Mayor of the capital city of Equatorial Guinea, Malabo. I want to recognize Dr. Bernard Wana. He's the Secretary General of the Cameroon Chamber of Commerce, part of the official delegation to the Obama Summit. I want to recognize Dr. Ngako Jean-Marie, Vice President of Cameroon Chamber of Commerce, part of the official delegation. But more importantly, I want to recognize all of you. You make this possible. Last year, we launched this event. It was just an idea, but we had a pilot test at the University of Maryland. You saw it for yourselves. But this year, we're having our second annual gala. We call it Gateway to Africa. We were so fortunate and so blessed, as the Congresswoman has said, that it coincided with the first ever U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit. President Obama convened this summit to bring visibility to the Africa trade, because for many years, researchers have proven that the U.S. was lagging behind, and we were so fortunate to have been part of that vision. It is what we call the Renew Africa. The Africa Trade Office launched a 2-week activities in support of the summit. We started with what we call the African Diaspora Policy Summit. We selected about 15 experts, scholars from various professions to discuss and submit to the attention of President Obama what we call the African Diaspora Policy recommendations for the administration of President Obama. One of the key points in that recommendation was the creation of the African Diaspora Fund, which will come as an assistance to our diaspora communities, to our diaspora businesses. You should recall that per statistics, African diaspora through remittances sent about $60 billion to the continent. Because of this force, the African diaspora constitute what we call, the backbone of African economies. Let me tell you, take you a little back to the Africa Trade Office. It came in 2008 as a congressional earmark headed by Senator Cardin. At that time, he had a vision, as the Congresswoman said, to make sure that the U.S. is engaged on the continent. We're blessed and fortunate that, the first Africa Trade Office in the United States is based in Prince George's County, and we should give him kudos for that. Thank you. From strength to strength, the county executive, Roshane Baker, has made it as part of his vision for international trade to rebrand the Africa Trade Office. When I was sent to the Africa Trade Office almost 2 years ago, he gave me one word: I want you, Dr. Forka, to go and rebrand the office. I said, okay, I will try my best. But I think it was not possible to do it just by myself. And I had to accompany that vision with a powerful lady at EDC called Gwen McCall, assisted by Pradeep Ganguly, the Vice President of EDC, seated here, and what we call IPSAC, the International Business Strategic Advisory Group, and one of the board member, Ollie Anderson, is here in the hall. And we created the Continental African Business Committee with a selection of about 15 men and women, businessmen, business leaders from 15 African countries. They form the backbone of some of the events you see here, and I want to give them a big thank you tonight. in the exercise of our role as the only U.S.-Africa Trade Office, we have a mandate to make sure that we work in sync with the White House, the State Department, federal agencies, the Maryland Department of Business and Economic Development to push the county executive agenda on the continent. We do this by what we call the expansion of the U.S. Doing Business in Africa's program, and every month we bring to our office delegations from various African countries. We bring to our office U.S. African ambassadors to Washington in what we call workshops, business seminars, B2B meetings, to do what we call market analysis, because our fallback position is that a lot of our SMEs don't understand the African continent. They don't understand Africa, and many believe that Africa is one country. No, it is a continent with 54 sovereign states, independent, with equal status at the United Nations, with equal partnership in relation to the United States through trade agreements. We want to make sure that we treat every country vis-a-vis those partnerships with respect. During the seminars, we have the opportunity to bring some of the best experts in economy, in policy, to delve into analysis of key sectors of investment. Because as a U.S. company, as a Maryland company, as a Prince George's County company, you need to understand the contextual background of business in Africa. You need to understand the soft landings and the requirements to do business in each of the African countries. We are already operating in about 20 African countries, and we keep, having many market entries, and we promote our trade mission through the embassies in Washington, D.C. We receive what we call reverse trade missions, and we are happy that they're here tonight to share that vision of county executive. In the coming months, we're going to launch another new program called our participation in the steering committee of President Obama. As a result of the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit, the president created what he calls a steering group. The steering group is made up of all U.S. agencies involved in the business of economic development, and there is a place for the Africa Trade Office. That place is a place for us to come and to continue with our expertise in directing our policy towards Africa, in directing, the entry of our businesses, and so far I can tell you a summary of some of our successes on the continent. We're proud that we're pursuing a contract of about 300 million in solar energy in Nigeria. We're proud to report that we're pursuing a contract, an opportunity of about 500 million in Ethiopia in solar energy. We're proud to report that we're pursuing, and the investor is here, a housing project in Cameroon worth about 200 million. The Cameroon delegation from the Chamber of Commerce are discussing a project worth about 600 million. And we're proud that most of the companies that will be engaging in these opportunities are found right here in Prince George's County. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight is your night. Tonight, we crafted Gateway to Africa as a social gathering, but as what I call a business diplomacy gathering, so that we can reflect, we can network, we can know each other, we can discuss our business possibilities. We want to do this in partnership with all of you seated here. I want to thank the businessmen and women, the sponsors of this program. I want to assure you, Gateway to Africa has come to Prince George's County to stay. And next year, we'd like to see you back. Thank you. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, I want to recognize a few people. And, I want to recognize IPSAC, our International Business Advisory Council. If their members are here, could you please stand? I would like to recognize our Continental African Business Committee. If the members are here, please stand. I would like to recognize the experts and the scholars who participated in drafting our first submission to the White House for the creation of African Diaspora Fund. Please stand. I would like to recognize EDC staff. Please stand to be recognized for the wonderful job you do. More importantly, I would like to recognize our sponsors. Those who even bought a ticket, please stand. Yeah, we have to recognize you. Our sponsors, please stand. Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, in a holistic approach, such a work cannot be done by one person or one group. But I think tonight I would like to recognize one lady, Geneva Cisse. Can you walk over here, please? Geneva Cisse, she's a vice president at M&T Bank. She's a lady that has worked with Africa Trade Office. She chairs the committee, the subcommittee on fundraising within the Continental African Business Committee. We just want to thank you for a job well done tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, last year we had delegations from many countries, and a lot of them are here, as I said before, and I want to recognize some medical doctors that flew from California to attend this event and to be engaged and seek for funding through the Africa Trade Office for a health center project in Africa. Dr. Richard Megling and Dr. Mary Romo, could you please stand? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, there's one person in this room representing officially our county executive. Nick Majed is our Chief Administrative Officer, and we welcome him to this event, and he'll be delivering the speech of the county executive, and I think the MC will be introducing him. Mr. Majed, you're welcome to this event, sir. It is with humility that I introduce my wife. Most of you know her, Pascaline Forka. Please, can you stand? Thank you so much. Enjoy your evening. I look forward to seeing all of you next year, and especially we need to increase our sponsorship pool. Thank you so much. Thank you.
One more round of applause for him. Since we have people standing up, I'm going to take some liberty. So I went to Howard University about 5 years ago. No, it was longer than that. And one of the great things about Howard University, aside from it being the best university in America, those who went to Howard can clap, yes, is that and Dr. Forka talked a lot about the diaspora and understanding African nations. One of the things that we definitely got at Howard University was this melting pot of the diaspora. And we had the opportunity, those of us who are from the United States, to often interact with our brothers and sisters from the Caribbean and from the continent. And what that did for us is allow us to see how much we had in common, how much we need to support each other, and how strong we certainly could be if we all work together. So I'm taking that liberty because of two reasons. One, because I actually took the African ancestry blood test recently to find out where I'm from. Right. Where am I from? I did the paternal one. So I did the paternal one, and I found out that I'm from Ghana. So I'm taking this liberty because I wanted those who are continental Africans to at least stand up and give yourselves a round of applause real quick. from the continent of Africa, who are continental Africans. Stand up and give yourselves a round of applause. And remain standing, and those of us who are from the United States, who are part of the diaspora, stand up as well and give yourselves a round of applause. So I'm saying, I'm doing all that to say that we're one people. We're here as one people, and thanks to Dr. Forka and this special week that we're celebrating, it gives us an opportunity to understand that we're one people. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring up the gentleman who Dr. Forka just talked about, who is the second in command of this county. A gentleman who came to us not too long ago. The county executive would use these words, that he stole him from the District of Columbia. And he stole somebody else a couple weeks after that. But Mr. Majette has come to the county, and he literally hit the ground running. Maybe even a couple days before he even got here, he hit the ground running. And since he's taken over the reins as the Chief Administrative Officer of Prince George's County, he has done quite a bit, done a lot to organize the administrative side of the county, and just really been a strong leader for the county. The county executive made a very good choice. The county executive stole him at the right time. And there's a lot more to come, I'm sure, from Mr. Majette's experience with the District of Columbia government, experience heading agencies. One of the ones that he took responsibility for was turning around the Department of Regulatory Affairs in the District of Columbia, which was responsible for permitting. So now what he's here to do is, as the county executive always says, to build on the foundation that has been built over the last 3.5 years. So without further ado, the Chief Administrative Officer of Prince George's County Government, Mr. Nicholas Majette.
Good evening. Good evening. So for about 5 minutes, I want you to pretend that I'm Rushern Baker, okay? And then at the end of the speech, I want you to pretend that I'm President Obama. And you'll find out why later. Okay, so good evening. On behalf of Prince George's County Executive Rushern Baker III, I would like to welcome you to America's most affluent majority African American county. And as the county executive always says, it's a great day to be in Prince George's County. We are also excited to be the host for the second annual Gateway to Africa dinner. With a population of nearly 900,000 residents and 27 municipalities, Prince George's County is home to a growing number of Africans from almost all the countries on the continent. It is fitting that this year's dinner takes place at the end of President Obama's U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit, and we are delighted that Prince George's County Africa Trade Office and was very involved in the summit. The Baker administration is committed to promoting trade and partnerships with Africa, which is why we established the Prince George's County Africa Trade Office. This team, led by Dr. Frank Forka, works diligently to promote U.S.-Africa trade in the county. In addition, they prepare and introduce county businesses to new opportunities in Africa, as well as seek reverse trade and EB-5 investors from Africa to invest in Prince George's County. Last year, the county executive signed a proclamation that made September African Heritage Month in Prince George's County. He did it because he recognizes that diversity is one of this county's greatest assets. Continental Africans are an important part of that diversity, along with the other people and cultures that make Prince George's County so unique. The county executive believes we must maximize our diversity and our high concentration of continental Africans blends perfectly with his philosophy. That is why he considers the Prince George's County Africa Trade Office as an important component of our economic development mix. Frank and his team are taking the lead to deliver on his vision to enhance international trade with Africa in about 20 African countries. And there is a growing demand among African nations to form more alliances with Prince George's County. With assets such as Bowie State University, the University of Maryland, and Prince George's Community College, FedEx Field, Six Flags America, and National Harbor, as well as farmland, Prince George's County has much to offer in the global marketplace. We also have world-class science and research facilities ranging from the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center to the U.S. Department of Agriculture's research facility in Beltsville and Joint Base Andrews, where Air Force One is housed. With these assets and over $4.3 billion in potential development projects on tap, it is easy to see why we refer to Prince George's County as the place to be. In addition to economic development, we also have improved access to health care, reduced crime to record lows, re-energize our public education system, worked with residents and various groups to revitalize their communities throughout Transforming Neighborhoods Initiative, which is one of the county executive's brainchilds. We are proud of our accomplishments thus far, but we realize there is still a great deal of work to do. We are motivated by that challenge, and we refuse to stop now because we have yet to reach our potential. The work we are doing is changing perceptions about the county and people in the region and throughout the world now want to come to Prince George's County, and it is exciting to watch. I believe that each of you have and can play a role in our success, and I look forward to coming back here next year to celebrate some of the exciting things we have accomplished together. There's so much more we can do together, and with your help, we can make the world see that Prince George's County is the place to be. So on behalf of Rushern Baker III, I extend his thanks to each of you. And if he were here, he would also ask you to enjoy the rest of your evening and have safe travels back to home. Okay, now I'm taking off the hat as Rushern Baker, and I'm now President Obama. Okay, what I'm going to do is to have a toast, the same toast that he did at the summit dinner. And I know we don't have champagne and all that like they had at the dinner, but just bear with me. Pretend you have a glass of champagne. And I'd like to propose a toast, the very same toast that President Obama did at the summit. And so pretend you're toasting. I propose a toast to the new Africa, the Africa that is rising and so full of promise, to our shared task to keep on working for the peace and prosperity and justice that all our people seek and that all our people so richly deserve. Cheers.
So I believe in your program, it does say that the next person speaking is Gwen McCall, but she's not here tonight. And if she were here, she'd say, you know what, Pradeep, why don't you come up and speak for me? So since she would have done that anyway, we are going to ask the Executive Director of the Economic Development Corporation in Prince George's County, Mr. Pradeep Ganguly, to please come up and say a few words about our exciting Economic Development Corporation.
Good evening. Can you hear me in the back? I don't hear much noise anymore. Are you all having a good time? All right. I am Gwen McCall, although I do not look or speak like her, but I do bring you greetings from the President and CEO of the Economic Development Corporation, Ms. Gwen McCall. She is unable to attend because of an emergency that she had to attend to, so I am happy to represent her at this event. Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Forka, for organizing such a great event again. I'm excited to welcome our African business partners, dignitaries from the continent of Africa, heads of state and their delegations to the second annual Gateway to Africa Gala. The mission of the Prince George's County Economic Development Corporation is to ensure that local businesses get an opportunity to grow and expand in Prince George's County. For that reason, I'm going to deviate from what Gwen was going to say and mention to you that EDC is ready and prepared to assist you as you want to grow your business in Prince George's County. So before I go there, you know Dr. Frank Forka, but let me introduce you to the men and women of Economic Development Corporation who are present here today, who will be there to assist you should you want to grow your business here or bring your business to Prince George's County. And they are Mr. David Lewis, who is the head of the Business Development Division, Mr. Jason Williams, who is the Vice President for Strategic Partnerships, Mr. Mayank Kapoor, Ms. Ebony Stocks, who has all the money. In fact, she has $50 million, and she is willing to lend them to you. We have Mr. John Mason, the tallest man at EDC. We have, if you need a job, and if you know of someone in the family that needs a job, the first thing you need to do is go to the MGM website. It's called www.mgmnationalharbor.com. Let me repeat, www.mgmnationalharbor.com/jobs. And if you cannot get there, the man you want to see is sitting right here. His name is Jeffrey Swilley. Jeffrey, would you please stand? Guess what? He has 2,000 jobs right now that he's trying to fill for MGM. And when MGM gets ready to start operations, he is going to help them fill another how many? 4,000 jobs. So there are jobs here. And we need qualified people that are present here today, and your families and friends to come seek those opportunities. Let me also introduce to you Lori Valentine, who is here. She's not only our attorney, she's our legislative person, and she's a wonderful business development person. We have Monica Briscoe Brooks. Monica, she's always behind the camera, but she makes sure you get in her pictures, because if you do, tomorrow you're going to be in the BizBuzz that goes to 6,000 businesses in Prince George's County. How many of you get the BizBuzz? Can I see a show of hands? Oh, that's not too many. Monica, you got some work to do. Make sure you get the business cards of all the businesses here, so they are on BizBuzz starting next week. And then I'm very happy to see Richelle is here from our finance department. And I also saw Crystal Ballard. Is Crystal here? She is probably still at the registration desk. So on your way out, please do thank Crystal Ballard. So my entire team, would you please stand? Because you really bring a lot of value to Prince George's County. As our Chief Administrative Officer, Mr. Nick Majette, said, that Mr. Baker has announced that we have over $6 billion worth of projects in the pipeline. This team that you just met today, they have projects that total what, $3.15 billion also? So if you add the two up, we are over $10 billion in projects that are in the pipeline. So the opportunities are here, and we want you to take advantage of those opportunities. Finally, I just want to say that our county executive, Mr. Rushan Baker, started on a new vision for Prince George's County. The reason we are here today is because of the foundation that was laid for him by a visionary leader that we lost just a couple of months ago, and he was Mr. Wayne Curry, County Executive Wayne Curry. So take a moment to let's pay respect to the man who created the vision for Prince George's County to be a powerful destination for businesses. And in closing, let me just say that our county executive is not only fond of the continent of Africa, he also knows that the great opportunities exist between here, Prince George's County, Maryland, and the continent of Africa. So come 2015, again, mark your calendar. Towards the end of the year, we are hoping that we'll have a business delegation that will go to Africa. That delegation needs your help. So Mr. Ollie Anderson, Mr. Eric Henderson, please come and help Dr. Frank Forca and our team to put together a mission to Africa, because we want to make sure that we are able to provide the opportunities to our businesses to do business in Africa, with Africa. For doing this, what Prince George's County has also done is we have now submitted our application to the United States Department of Commerce Foreign Trade Zone Board to make entire Prince George's County as a foreign trade zone. So if you have a business that imports or exports products, Prince George's County is the place to be. So with that, thank you very much and have a wonderful evening.
So Gwen would have been good, but wasn't he good? Wasn't he good? He represented you well, Gwen, so you should be happy. So moving on, I'm going to bring Frank back up to make some presentations. I'm correct on that, right, Frank? You look at me like I'm wrong. Am I right? I'm right. So Frank is going to come back up and make some awards. Another round of applause for Dr. Frank Forca.
Thank you, Barry. Please let me introduce Linda Aldridge. She is the executive assistant to Governor O'Malley. And because of the importance of the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit, because of the importance of the visiting delegation, we were struck by two delegations. The Legacy Premier Foundation brought 20 young Nigerians to our county. They lodged here in a hotel in our county. They visited our schools, and they're planning to come back, after graduation to enroll in some of our universities. For that purpose, we decided to request a proclamation to honor Legacy Premier Foundation by Remy Duyile. Can you move forward, please?
First, I want to say hello to everyone, and I bring greetings on behalf of Governor Martin O'Malley and Lieutenant Governor Anthony Brown and our Secretary of State, John McDonough. They're sorry they weren't able to be here with you all this evening, which means I get to be here, so I'm happy. It is my honor to present this governor's citation to a dear, dear friend of mine, Ms. Remy Duyile. Step forward. I'm going to read the citation, and it reads as follows. The Governor of the State of Maryland, to Remy Duyile, greetings. Be it known that on behalf of the citizens of this state, in recognition of your outstanding work with the Legacy Premier Foundation, working to empower women and children here and in Africa, in honor of your efforts on behalf of the sister state partnership between Maryland and Ondo State, and as the people of Maryland join together in expressing our gratitude, great respect, and sincere best wishes for continued success, we are pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation, and it's signed the 8th day of August, 2014. Congratulations.
Remy, stand in the middle, Remy.
one more time, please. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a representative of the Eastern Africa Diaspora Business Council?
Letitia Malu, she is the Vice President of the East African Diaspora Business Council, the most progressive economic bloc in Africa, representing Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, and Uganda. And among the world's fastest economies in Africa, 7 are found in Africa, 3 are from East Africa. We're pleased to partner with this group and to receive the East African Ministerial Delegation. And we had a surprise from the Kenyan Parliament, led by the Vice Honorable President of the Kenya Assembly. 15 national elected honorables were in our office during the summit, and we're pleased, and we hold it dear to our heart that Kenya is trusting on Prince George's County, on the Africa Trade Office, to deliver on some of the opportunities that were listed. So I want to honor the group tonight. Thank you.
The Governor of the State of Maryland to the Eastern Africa Diaspora Business Council. Greetings. Be it known that on behalf of the citizens of the state, in recognition of your success in working with key industry and intergovernmental agencies to provide a platform for transfer of diaspora knowledge and skills through consultancy opportunities, as well as recruitment of diaspora to the private sectors. And as the people of Maryland join in expressing our great respect, gratitude, and sincere best wishes for the future, we are pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation. Okay, I have 2 more presentations. Dr. Forka wasn't aware of all of these presentations that I'm presenting. Can I ask Chris, who's the chair of our Ondo State, Sister State program, if he could come forward? I don't know if you all are aware, Governor O'Malley established the African Sister State program with Nigeria in 2013. We actually have 2. We have one with Ondo State and one with Cross River State. So I had the pleasure of taking a journey to Nigeria with our sister committees in 2012. And it was the most amazing thing I've ever done in my life. I am in the process of doing my DNA, so next year I'll be able to announce where I'm from. But Chris and the team took such good care of me, and Chris is a phenomenal leader, so the governor wanted to make sure that we recognize him, the Ondo State Sister Committee. And if we have other members here from Ondo State Sister State Committee, could you please stand? We have Franklin Akinkoye and Kimmy. So I have this platter from the governor. It has the state seal on it. I'll turn around so you all can see. And this is what we're presenting to him today.
There we go. All right, everyone on 3. 1, 2, and 3. That's the stuff, guys. Thank you.
And the last one is my pleasure to present to Dr. Forka. Dr. Forka is the unsung hero behind the scenes that's always making everything work, who's constantly representing not just the county, but the state of Maryland in all of our African affairs. He represents the whole state and not just Prince George's County. And I am honored and privileged to present this citation to you. So the governor of the state of Maryland, to Dr. Frank Forka, greetings. Be it known that on behalf of the citizens of this state, in recognition of your leadership, commitment, and outstanding efforts in promoting economic and cultural awareness and exchange between Maryland, the diaspora, and Africa, and as the people of Maryland join together in expressing our highest regards, gratitude, and sincere best wishes for continued success, we are pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation.
Okay. Guess what? Guess what? Guess what? There's no more program. So now we're about to do the cool part, which is we're going to ask the DJ to come back up here. And it is Friday, right? So they're on TV, they have this DJ Friday thing. So since it is DJ Friday, we'll have him come back up. But what I'd like to do before we get to that part, there are a couple of people here that we did not recognize. We want to make sure that we recognize, I'll call it the brains behind the operation, which would be the EDC Board of Directors. So there's some folks here, I believe, representing the Board of Directors. Would you please stand up and please give those individuals a round of applause? All right. And give yourselves a round of applause for being here tonight. Let's give the EDC staff a round of applause putting this together. And let's give a big round of applause for Dr. Frank Forka for putting this together. And behind, you know, they say, well, let's give his wife a round of applause too, because I'm married and I know she has to put up with a lot. Husbands are just rough, and I know she puts up with a lot. I almost knocked her hat off earlier, so I just wanted to make sure she stood up. Right. And speaking of men who have a woman beside them or with them when they get things done, there's a person running around here who had a lot to do with making this happen. And her name is Stacia Martin. I don't know if she's outside or she's probably outside. She's had a lot to do with putting this event together and making it a success. So on behalf of the Economic Development Corporation, Prince George's County, and the African Trade Office, thanks so much for being here. And in the words of one of my favorites from the Death Jam show, God bless, good night.